Hello, everybody. What's up? Welcome. Thank you for joining us here in chat. We're having some technical difficulties with Boneless Bones, but hopefully we get him in here. Thank you for. There he is. Thank you. Oh, he's got some internet issues. I see him here. There you go. Look at that with a little host mic and everything.
Look at that, like black,
I
big
can
black
guarantee
mic.
you that the mic doesn't even work. It's, it's probably plugged in, but the one on his headphones is what he's using.
Look at the next Brank Gumbo over here. All right. So this is episode 87 of the podcast. Thank you again for joining us. I'm your host, Danny Martinez, the Drunken Guardian. And as before, we got Boneless Bones here, the real host of the show.
What the?
Because he got the mic.
You got the whispers too.
Yeah, exactly. And I got the let God speak for a minute. What's going on? It's
Could
your boy,
you
Bubba.
raise the volume on your thing? Oh, actually, no, I could adjust it.
Definitely crank the gain up.
I got it actually on my Discord. I'll fix it.
You sure? Because he's at 200 on mine, and this motherfucker still sounds far as hell.
Oh, I sound like I'm whispering.
Well,
Yeah,
you
a little
pressed
bit.
something just now. It sounded like you're in that echo mode.
Yeah, just
Oh,
turn that
yeah.
off.
What's going on? Is it
Okay.
sound better now?
Yeah, that's better. I'll fuck with your volume as we move along. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. What's going on? It's your man Boneless Bones back there again with another fucking stream with these lovely people. Hey guys.
And Randy Ragnarok, sick as fuck
I'm
right
sick.
now.
I'm not changing the picture today because that's literally me.
Yeah, that's how he's feeling. It's like a sick or a high cat. Who knows? But either way,
Nice.
it's Randy.
I'm not changing my picture either because that's literally me too.
You've had
we know.
God, you've had that picture for God knows how long already.
Ever since he introduced the idea of a Mario fleshlight.
I want
Yeah.
one so bad.
Of Mario?
Hell yeah! I want the tickly mustache and all.
The dick tickler?
The dick tickler.
Okay.
Like why you put it
Yeah, let's get on to the news now. We got two articles today that we'll talk about. One of them is about Zelda and the Nintendo Switch, and the second one is what was it? Kingdom Hearts 4. So that's Randy's expertise, which we'll probably go much deeper into detail with that stuff. But first, the first article we'll talk about, I got it from IGN. They talked about the next Zelda game possibly being delayed because it's possibly being more tailored for the next Switch console. So it's like a rumor. Yeah, I don't like to talk about rumors, but there ain't not much else to talk about right now. So I thought it was interesting to debate and talk about. This rumor is coming from Digital Foundry, which is a group of content creators who they specialize in technology and hardware specs, like at the aspects of gaming. So like they like to measure frame rates, resolution, lighting techniques, gaming engines, the finer details of things. So they recently analyzed the new Breath of the Wild 2 trailer and have said, quote, the game might be too big to perform on the current Switch hardware, unquote. So they said the level of detail of the processing that's needed to be put out would even make the Xbox Series X struggle a little bit with it. So that's what it's looking like with that trailer. Quote,
I have a before you go into that, I have a question if anybody know. Has the Xbox S have any problems playing the same games as the X yet or no?
no.
So what the
Not
fuck is
that
the
I'm-
point? I don't know. I'm just waiting for that to happen because at some point the S is supposed to be a lower version of the X, right?
It's a lower version, but I think it's minuscule like specs. Like I think the processing and the RAM is like not that much different. It is lower, but it's not that much different. So I would think that any developers would be smart enough if they're developing anything for the Xbox X that they would
Or both?
they would focus on the S so that way they could scale it up. Yeah.
Just curious. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
So they said, quote, it could be the next Switch. It could just be that they rendered out a trailer on a higher resolution and higher settings. That's Alex Battaglia from Digital Foundry said that. A part of the article read, however, the guys were quick to point out that Nintendo generally doesn't release trailers at a high quality than the final product, with one exception being the draw distance for both the original, for the original Breath of the Wild game. So I still think that the Switch Pro is in the works myself. Maybe it's not connected to Breath of the Wild being delayed, but I think if they were to delay it, that would be a good reason. So that way they can release it on both the Pro and for the regular. So I want to know what your thoughts are on the Zelda title being delayed, and also just the rumors in general. Danny.
I think it was rendered a higher resolution. I mean, I think they want to have this next Zelda game be something that's. I don't know. I don't think they've. I think Kirby's doing well, but it's not doing as well as they hoped.
Mhm.
For what I saw, I know the fanboys are doing, but I think Zelda hits more than just people who buy Kirby and Mario. It hits a much larger audience. It can hit an audience from 9 all the way up to 40, 45-year-old people. It can range because it's
Mhm.
Zelda. Kirby hits a much smaller range, and only older people who are playing it are just for like homage. Like if you're older, it's because you want. Like if I was a serious gamer, I would have never bought fucking Kirby. It's just like it's not really a gamer type game. It's just a fun little thing to play and keep it moving.
Mhm.
But Zelda could. So I think they're struggling. Not struggling, but like they need that. They haven't been in the talks for about a year or more of any good games for their systems.
Right? It hasn't like it said in the article before too, though. It hasn't really been Nintendo style to really fake the graphics of a game that they're working on. They've always
It's
been
not
very
really.
upfront
They're
with it.
not really. But they're not really faking it. I mean, it might be what they're trying to produce. I mean, technically you could do this, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, a lot of games do that. They'll show what
Yeah.
what the developers expect the graphics to be like. You remember Anthem? Anthem, like that game was gorgeous.
Yeah.
The way that they revealed the gameplay trailer for it, but it wasn't even like working on a system. It was just a concept of how powerful, how detailed they wanted the game to be, and they down-res the shit out of that game when it released afterwards. So but what I'm saying is like, yes, you're right. That is a typical thing that people do, especially just to get a game hyped up, especially something like Zelda. But that's usually not Nintendo style.
But Nintendo's also not one to promote. Like when they came out with the Wii, the Switch, and all this stuff, they never promote games and be like, "Oh yeah, by the way, it's only gonna be on the Switch." Usually, they announce the new one, and then they go, and these are the games that you didn't even know about that are gonna come on the system. So that's the only reason I am a little
Mm.
hesitant just to put out a whole new system out of nowhere and say that Zelda's only gonna be on this. It could be
Well,
a
no,
thing
no,
where
not that it'll only be on the Pro. The theory is that just like they did with many other games, like for example, Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, it got released for both consoles, like the newest
oh yeah,
generation console and the old console. So fans for both systems were able to purchase and play the games. So the theory is that they're doing the same thing with this new sequel, is that they'll do it for the Pro and for the original, so both people can play it.
I guess that might be. You never know. I mean, I have no idea what they're really
Yeah.
trying to do, but I mean, and honestly, it's about time they come out with it. They need to catch up. I mean, Switch is good, Switch is fine and all, but it's an old system that needs some livening.
Kevin,
I don't know.
Kevin, you looking like you're in Dexter's laboratory. What are your
Nah,
thoughts?
my man's back here is
Or
just
Batman?
hacking. Yeah, he's hacking Nintendo right now on the new Sonic game information. Honestly, when I was reading the article and looking at well, I watched the video at first and then I read the article. I would say that I would agree with you, drunk, that it seems like it's a new system. uh, because I as a Switch like fan or like yeah, as a person that plays the Switch, I know that that system cannot handle certain games. Like honest, it's like I know this. Like the games that I expected to run like perfectly fine, it does not.
They
And
do a lot of the
I
high end games in the Switch on cloud version, and that doesn't work very well. And that's mostly because the system itself
yeah
can't handle it.
yeah, the
I
system
still
itself
gotta
cannot
try
handle
that Kingdom Hearts Cloud to see if it works better on
Ugh.
my Ethernet.
Have fun with that.
it. It is
I haven't,
dog
I should
shit.
probably listen and see what it. I mean, read about it, see what they say.
But nah, because once I found out that it can't run Ninja Gaiden, like the original Ninja Gaiden 2, I was like, nah, the system can't
Ninja
handle
Gaiden Ligma.
that game. Like my balls,
My
yeah.
nuts.
Um, Yeah, I'm hoping it's a new system because they need to update like the firmware and a lot of things that's going on with that system. The OLED is fine, but if you're just gonna release a system and then release another system after it, that's a better version of the Switch. I would say that's the best move. Or just make it a whole new system, like a Switch Pro or like a Switch fucking XL or some shit. Like the system itself needs to be upgraded because there's a lot of problems with it.
Mhm.
And
I don't think OLED should have came out.
yeah, I
I
feel
think
like
OLED
OLED.
should have just saved it for the Pro.
Yeah, I
I
mean, I haven't. Obviously, I have the OLED only because I never had one, but
mhm.
I've seen the other ones, and I haven't seen. There is no. I mean, yes, it's a prettier screen, but that's it.
Other than, yeah, it's
Mhm.
just spray painting shit on gold.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's it, and it doesn't really do anything. Like honestly, for anyone, like it, you can't really upgrade the look of it and not upgrade the system itself because then you're not helping at all. You're just gonna
Mhm.
make it look pretty as it's running like dog water. But that's my thought on it. I'm looking forward to the game. I'm hoping that
Oh
they
yeah.
come out with a new system in like 2 years. But honestly, I'm kind of weary of it. What the hell?
And Randy, what about you?
Um, I am expecting a new console to come out, so maybe we'll get the Switch. One could
Switch,
hope the
Switch
Nintendo
Pro.
Switch. Switch Pro? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, if we're lucky, they'll like release it for like the PlayStation or the Xbox, something that can handle it.
What?
Haha.
I'm
Zelda?
sorry.
I'm
What?
kidding. I'm kidding. Obviously, I'm not serious about that.
That would be
But
awesome.
honestly, if it does get delayed, then it's better because then I could also get some kinks worked out of it, if anything. Yeah, delays are just never like bad to me, to be very very honest.
I would love Zelda 2, and it could be multiplayer with different color Zeldas. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, they've done that with the
Oh
handheld
yeah,
I
versions.
know.
They should do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Like, that was a whole storyline and everything that had the
Four
multicolor, but
swords.
yeah, the Four Swords.
Yeah.
But I would love to do that.
Legend of Zelda Pork Swords, right? Hell yeah.
Yeah, they should do something like that. But I mean, Nintendo's networking is still never really that good. But yeah, I mean that would still be cool.
And
Uh,
I'm very interested to see what the Breath of the Wild 2 is gonna be,
what do you
because
mean?
is it just will it just feel like an expansion? Will it pull like a Horizon? Just yeah, it's gonna look pretty. It's gonna be pretty.
Hmm.
He's gone. He got pissed that I called it that. No, um, no. It like will it be to pull a Horizon where it just looks pretty? It looks nicer and it's like
More
more
the same thing.
polished. But it's the exact same thing. I mean, a lot of that footage that they did show just looked more of the same.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that could be very disappointing
I mean,
to me.
they could introduce a lot of the. So one of the criticisms about Breath of the Wild, which wasn't that big of a deal because obviously it was rated a 10 out of 10 for practically everybody.
Yeah,
It was that a lot of the original artifacts, like the weapons and the tools that you use,
yeah.
are all new things, are things that you never really. They're, the old school stuff wasn't in the game is what
Okay.
people wanted, a lot of the old school stuff. So I would
Like,
think that
like what? They had the bombs. They
well,
had most of
yeah, they had it. Well, yeah, they had the
it. They had the
bombs, but
Iron Sword. They had the.
they weren't exactly the same. Like they didn't. Oh man, did they have the hook shot? They had something else similar to the hook shot. I couldn't remember, but
No, they didn't have the hook shot, but I mean,
But my point is like they could easily just granted again that's not gonna be a game revolutionized mechanic, but they could add a lot of the old classic weapons and tools and things like that with that. I honestly agree with you on that. I think it would be a lot. It would feel more like an expansion because if they're sticking to an actual sequel, I would think for the most part the map would be the same.
yeah.
Outside from the
Well, it's
fact that
supposed to be.
now
It's in the
now
air.
now well not it's not that it's in the air, but there is a ground map which would probably be the same, but now they also have the air as well. So the air part is probably what's gonna feel like the DLC. Is just like
Yeah.
all they did was add a map in the sky now that you can go to.
And that's what I feel. Like when I looked at the trailer, I was like, ah, And after playing the game and looking back at the trailer, 'cause I started, before this, and I'm like, oh, this is Horizon 2.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not. I'm not actually that intrigued in playing this. Like this trailer don't make me want to play the game really, to me anyway, because I'm like, not that. I mean, I really wanted to play the first one a lot because of the way it looked, the
You
way it
know,
was, everything they did, and everything I heard. But the second one, from far, I'm like, it's just like, okay,
you know
I'll wait
what's
for more.
you know what's actually my hook as to why I want to play this game? Not because of all that, because again, I agree with you, and it's probably going to be a lot of the same thing as the first game, like just like Horizon,
Mhm.
but long-haired Link. Oh yeah, but the hook to me is the fact that it's a direct sequel. So it's a continuation of the story that's going on now. Finally, we're having like an actual continuation because every single game, you have to admit, every single Zelda
Scattered.
game, well, yes, it is scattered throughout throughout the timeline, but every single game plays not plays the same. Storyline is the same. Princess get kidnapped. Princess is the power of something, and you have to stop Ganon or Ganondorf or
That's
Aghanim
not.
or
I'm
whatever it
not
is.
Ocarina and
100%
Majora were
sure.
two different ones because
See, I was just
Majora
gonna
was a
say
Well,
direct
Majora's
sequel.
Mask.
Yeah, no, because
but
Majora's Mask did happen directly after
Yeah, it
Ganondorf was
was a
taken
direct
down
sequel.
in
Yeah.
of Ocarina,
right,
and it's not Ganondorf that's the antagonist or anything, but it's a whole different person being Skull Kid
yeah,
trying to like tear the world apart with the moon. So that one's very very different. But I do kind of get it because that is the only game that did that whole thing of like, hey, different antagonists, different fucking storyline immediately after this one just finished.
Well, the thing it's the same
Um,
antagonist, but it's just I'm curious as to the way the trailer made it out to be the cinematic trailer, not the gameplay trailer. The cinematic trailer is like they're gonna focus more on Ganon. Like, what is the deal with Ganon? Like, they find Ganon kind of like he looks like he's being like suspended in animation, and he's like ready to wake up. Or I'm wondering like, is there gonna be more to the story about him? I mean, we already
they're
know
gonna
how the whole
pull a Last of Us Part 2 where you play as Zelda, I mean as Link in the first part, and then you play as Ganon in the second part.
man, that'd be so cool.
He did Batman too. We played as
True.
Joker for a little bit.
Yeah, Kevin.
I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry.
Oh, well, we were just saying, Danny was just saying how he's expecting Breath of the Wild 2 to kind of be like how we felt about Horizon. It's more of the same thing, except it's just more polished. Like, what do you think what the sequel's going to be like?
There was a little bit. Well, I wouldn't say a direct like copy and paste kind of thing and just put a two on it. I would say there's a little bit of different mechanics in two. I'm talking about the gameplay trailer about like him digging under the ground and like going above it, like he swam above it. Uh, that was something that was a bit different, and I don't know how like the falling mechanic is going to work because he's skydiving and like there's a little bit of different uh I would say things shown in the trailer that it made me a bit interested. I like. There's gonna be similarities. I just hope they get rid of the fucking durability system for the Master Sword. It just doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
Uh, but other than that, it looks good. It looks good. I just hope it's not a copy and paste kind of thing. Because then I would drop it.
I think it will. I feel like I'm disappointed in that, but it's gonna be a much more. I think it's gonna have the because the game's still gonna be very huge and have the combination of, like you said, Sky, Earth and
Mhm.
Sky. But I don't know. We'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll see about it. And
I hope. I honestly hope it's like the map of. I know we keep talking about this game, but like Elden Ring, that it's like the above ground. It's like so massive that it seems overwhelming, and then after you like explore almost everything, it doesn't feel that big. Like I hope it's like
Yeah,
the Earth, the regular like not the sky area, the grounded area is just like big enough that it's like not overwhelming because Breath of the Wild 1 felt extremely overwhelming no matter where the fuck you
yeah.
went.
well, I had
Because
mentioned that before. I was saying how if
there's
they're
no
doing a
fast
direct,
travel.
Yeah.
yeah, if they're doing a direct sequel, I would assume that they're gonna use the same map and maybe even expand on it if anything, but they would use the same map because it's still in the same world, it's still in the same timeline. The only thing that would expand more is vertically. You'd probably have a just as big map on the on the sky area.
But you know what they need to add? Fast travel. If they don't
Oh
add
yeah.
fast,
Yeah, they really need to add that. I mean,
it helps.
open world games. And Ghost of Tsushima was
Does
the
it.
first one to me that go, wow, this makes such a huge difference in having a fast travel in a
Mm,
huge open world game like this. You know, like
yeah.
even like Elden Ring had a bit, not Elden Ring, Elder Scroll had a
Hmm.
little bit, but there was so much. Like I don't know.
Yeah. It,
Yeah.
if it's too much and I have to traverse back to a specific area on horseback and it takes me like
Yeah,
20 minutes, I'm gonna
and
fucking
then
drop. And it's
just so
gonna
you
add
could talk, just so you could talk to somebody else to go back and talk to them and be like, here, here's
yeah,
the item I gave you.
yeah.
Go back and see if he likes it. No, you don't like it? Try it in blue.
The fucking Rivali's quest was so fucking tedious because you have to go all the way to a specific area, then go back to the bird area that's in the middle of the map, and then you have to go back over there to talk to a ghost. I'm like, nah, bro, that's
Yeah,
3 hours. That's 3 hour travel.
yeah,
I'm not
like,
doing this.
and that's why like Trash Travel makes those games. If you wanna, it's like you can just travel back to an area, explore everything around it, and then go on your main quest that you were doing later on. And that's what to me made Elden Ring. Even again, Ghost of Tsushima was the same exact way. I had my spots where I like to use this farm or whatever it was, and I would fast travel there, and then I would fast travel back to where I was and keep going. Like
Just just give
open world guys need it.
just give it a bonfire, man. Just give us a bonfire. We're striving
No.
for it. A bonfire to fast travel to. Like it's fun,
I
bro.
swear, Elder Scrolls is gonna break a lot of people. It broke a lot of open world games. There's a lot of people who make open world games like, fuck.
It's not even just the gameplay. It's really just the fact that they took their time making this game.
Mhm.
There's no DLC needed. There's no microtransactions. Even
No,
now, after the game, how long has it been? 2 months? 2 months
yeah,
now, the game come out,
people are
and people are
still
still
talking about it.
finding things. Not even just talking
Yeah,
about it. People are
they're
still
finding things. Yeah,
finding things. Like it's
yeah,
crazy how deep this game is, and it just shows like what developers are really lacking nowadays.
yeah. Just
The
put that
balls.
passion. Yeah, put the passion in it. You know,
Yeah.
let you just. I don't know. It's just the game is just. I don't. I'm sorry. We have to go back to it, but the game is 100%. And everybody kept saying a 10 out of 10, and you play the game, you're like, yeah, I see
Yeah.
why. And there's not many people who can deny the 10 out of 10
hmm
or 9 out of 10s. You know, like it's the perfect game. Like just makes you have fun. It's
I
Yeah.
what you want in a game.
I would be pissed off if at the end of the year they would call like because people are, obviously they name quite a few titles throughout the year, game of the year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If Elden Ring doesn't win, I'm gonna be
yeah,
mad.
it's guaranteed. That has to be
Mm.
a little game of the year. I mean,
Can to be honest with you, have you guys heard anything negative about Elden Ring? And I mean, like,
my the
on
only
actual.
thing that I wish they did,
Hmm.
and I could see it being a sequel thing,
Hmm.
is putting the passion that they put in the weapons into the armor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because the
The,
weapons, like every fucking weapon is 100% different. Like
you should be able to spec your armor just like you
the
do your
way it
weapons.
plays, yeah, the way it plays, the way you can attach things to it, or just if it's a magical that has attributes and it just the combinations of things you can do with weapons is insane. I wish they had something like that with armor.
Mhm.
Yes, I know that's a whole more complex thing because it's not just because armor
Well,
is obviously
they did
different
it with
pieces.
the headpieces though.
Yes,
Yeah, I was gonna
and
say.
there are some even regular pieces like Roger's armor gives you
hmm
2% for each piece you have
hmm
onto your glimmer. Like they have portions of it. And it could be like that for the rest of the armor, and then you can mix and match. So I think again, it just became one of those things where it just became too much because
Mhm.
then you would have to like. But that's what I was saying. That's why I said it would be a sequel. Would be a great thing
Yeah.
because then you can really feel like you can customize a fucking character. I mean, right now you can do so many different crazy builds, and they're all balanced. That's the fun part.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
like, yeah, they say blood is OP. Yeah, blood is not more OP than a frost or than a fucking sorcerer
It's
or than
all
a mage.
dependent on how you play with it. Like
Yeah, no, yeah,
if you make a blood build but you really suck like at using the blood
yeah,
build properly, you're gonna die anyways. Like it doesn't matter what your build is.
yeah,
You gotta play it right.
But
yeah. And that's what this game is. And that's what a lot of like I'm hoping people learn from like not just like RPG people who do Elder Scroll and MMOs and stuff like that, like just learn from this that people like to play, people like to build things. They like builds. They like to play with things and look at things and test out new ways to have things. And they don't want a meta. That's the big thing about this game. This game doesn't have the meta. This is the only thing you can
Yeah.
do. Like it's not just sorcery that is OP. And I made my face build purposely so that I can one shot or two shot bosses the same way I was doing with sorcery because I know this game is done that way. Same
Mhm.
thing for Dragon Spells. I know the game can one shot, two shot bosses with Dragon Spells if you build the build right. And that's what's fun about it.
I just found out that there's a fucking sleep weapon. I didn't even know
Yeah,
sleep
Oh
was a
yeah, the
yeah,
sword,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
yeah. I didn't know sleep was a status ailment that
There's
affects
also
every fucking human. And
yeah,
there's a small handful that is immune to it. And I'm like, why would you even who would think of it? And then I saw like how disgusting that can be. Like, because if you're PvP, you get staggered, and then you're staggered for 2 seconds, and then you can roll out of it, but it's a specific timing. But if you put a boss to sleep, like who the fuck thinks like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just put him to sleep. He's gonna take a nap.
Mhm.
I'm a crazy.
And typically most bosses in any game period are immune to like status effects like that. You like poison and sleep and let's say silence or whatever it is, but like Elden Ring don't play like that. They'll have the
yeah.
same
So if you can,
handicaps.
yeah, and it's you work it's almost like every game, everybody's a PvP. You work the same way they work. So, and that's how they kind of help things get kind of balanced.
Mhm.
So
I,
it's this is a
Yeah.
great game.
I like that if you build your sleep, I would say your sleep build really well, and I think this will be the last thing I'll say. You can have like that sleep is by far I would say the strongest um critical. There's a weapon that has the strongest critical, which I think is
Yeah,
140.
it's a dagger, 140.
Yeah, it's 140, and it's fucking crazy. So if you have that stacked on top of sleep, and sleep gives you the most, I think, um, damage from crit because they're sleeping and
Hmm.
obvious. You do like 3K out of
Mm.
fucking critical hit, and I'm like, they're dying. That's like a regular enemy is dying, a normal player is dying,
Mhm.
an NPC is dying if they go to sleep, and then the buildup is like it's more than bleed on
Yeah.
base. I'm like, that's fucking wild that it's 65 and then bleed is like sometimes 55, sometimes 60, but sleep automatically is 65 on base. I'm like,
And
wow.
there's talk about, DLC, and the game has room to make DLC and
Oh
add
yeah.
more. They
Oh
feed
yeah.
them.
There's
Tons of
space on the
story,
map, but like there's theories
tons of
about
space
what the
on the
map
map.
looks like.
Yeah, and there's about who the boss is gonna, who could potentially be the boss according to the lore. It's
Yeah.
basically that girl in the egg, who's
Yeah.
the sister Maleficent.
Oh, Mogwin's egg, like on his
Yeah,
little
and
pedestal. Yeah, yeah.
it's like there's the whole lore with one of the daughters being stuck in forever childlike state, and Magua was trying to change that basically, and that's what he's doing.
Mhm.
So that like that, it can be the next powerful person right there. Like they just have all types of like lore in this game that's ready to set up a new DLC. It makes sense, and then you have fun, and then you'll be able to add more weapons, add armor, add new enemies, add whatever if you want, and it just have and be fun.
Um,
Yeah.
my fault for cutting you off, sober. And in all honesty, I've never had a game interest me to the point that I actually want to learn about the lore in
Yeah.
my entire life. Like I've never been like, oh, I
Oh,
can't wait
y'all
to.
know how I feel about Destiny.
Yeah, no,
Take a shot.
the
Fuck!
thing
I thought you were away.
No, I got my tea. I already came back.
Randy was over there sipping on
Randy was
his tea.
waiting in the shadows.
Uh,
But yeah, I like sober talking about it. Me playing the game. Like now, I'm more so that I'm reading. I'm literally doing every side quest that I can on my second run, and then playing the game and learning about certain characters and certain routes and things that happen to the characters. And it's crazy. It's really crazy.
Oh, quick spoiler. I'm pretty sure. Well, I don't know if you guys did this one already.
Game's
So
been
you know
out
how
2
you like.
months, so spoiler warnings
Yeah,
and
but
moving on.
I already I'm
Oh
good.
well, fucking. You know how you like to use your beautiful prattling pate Kevin. Yeah,
Yeah.
you could use that on the Seamster when he wants to be reborn, and then he doesn't go to Renala and he doesn't die.
You are. Yeah. You
Yeah.
are beautiful. Am
Because
I
you could
really?
give him the larval tier, and then he goes to Renala, and he comes back as a guy, and then he ends up fucking dying.
Mhm.
And if you use the prattling pate, he like appreciates you instead, and he doesn't go, and he's like, he doesn't have to fucking die.
Yeah. Yo. And
Yeah.
talk about that side quest, bro. I didn't even realize there was a fucking talking tree. Like I beat the
It
entire
wasn't a
game.
talking tree.
He
The
was
guy just
It
disguised.
was a
Yeah.
he
disguised as talking.
disguised as the tree.
Yeah, but no, but when I ran by, I was like, hey, like before.
Yeah, where the
like,
fuck's that coming from?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was.
Bring it
I
up
only
now.
found out because a message says try rolling, so I
They
rolled right into it.
From Software made a comment about that actually. They said that a very small percentage of people actually found this guy because they rarely ran into him. So when they did their, I think it was either their first patch or their second patch, they purposely expanded the radius as to how far you can hear him from. So that way
Yeah.
more people can hear him and actually activate a side quest.
I
Yeah.
heard him. I'm pretty sure I heard him when it was before the patch because fucking I don't really follow roads. I tend to like go in between them.
Mm.
So I ran into like the little tree area that he was in, and then when I heard, I was what the fuck, and I killed everyone, and I started running around. And when I stopped hearing it, I would run back, and then I would like try to like figure out where the fuck it was until I saw the signs.
Did they?
Oh,
Are you,
and one thing I realized too is that from all the Souls games that I've played, I think Elden Ring has to be the one where everyone is like the most helpful in their messages.
I
Because in
agree.
every
Yes.
Souls game,
I
no,
don't
in
think
every
so.
Souls game,
No.
yes,
Yes. I
no, because in
agree.
every Souls game, there are people that are always putting down some dumb troll shit. Like
There
Tribe
is.
Jumping
I've
was so
Still
I've
is.
ran
bad.
into plenty of those. Too
Yes.
many of
Still
No,
is.
those.
Hold on. Wait.
every
Wait.
single one that I have read has been super helpful and
Yes.
genuine. If there is a trap in a chest, there are people that will tell you. If there is
Yeah.
not one, they will tell you no trap. Go ahead. Like I have encountered the
The
nicest
game
ones.
utilizes that bad whatever it is really well. I think they.
Oh, the
I think I don't know.
appraisal
If
and ignoring thing.
Appraisal.
I don't know if they've like improved that because there are a lot of areas in this game. Like and all the Dark Souls, I will always ignore every one of those fucking things. I knew they were just trolls, constantly saying stupid shit or whatever. But in this game, I mean, yes, of course, there are their fair share of stupid, like obviously there's
Yeah.
the hidden
Secret
wall.
passage here, and it's
Yeah,
like
stupid shit
liar
like that.
ahead.
Yes, of course. But if there's a trap and you look at that thing, then yes, there's gonna be a trap there.
I
That's
I
not
still
gonna be able
find
to solve
plenty of
us. Of
troll
course they
messages.
are,
I still
but I'm
find
saying, but
plenty.
this like there was
I
like
found more
there's an
helpful than
invisible
I have
there's
found
an
trolls.
yeah, I agree that there's an invisible bridge area, right? And
Oh yeah, that you could drop
Oh, I didn't.
the rainbow stone on and then drop onto that.
In a snow
it's
level?
No, you
no, it's not in the
on the
not in the
area.
snow level.
Oh,
That one
okay.
too, but it's in just before you get to the secret area, right?
Oh, I know what
Hmm.
you're talking about.
It's in a secret area. It's in like it's just right when that first part when you first get there, and when you jump off to the left to get the silver scarab, it's an invisible bridge, and then after you get there, you have to go back up to another invisible bridge that go across to the other side. And if you don't know where the fuck to go, it could be deadly because there's like three basic invisible bridge paths you have to take, three or four you have to take there. But I was able to do it because of the messages. They were leaving messages on purpose of which way to go. Like same thing for that fucked up maze. Remember that maze we did in the underground, Danny? Like I figured out where to go because finally was like fuck I'm super lost in this place. Let me figure it out. I'm super lost. Let me figure out. Let me
You
look
okay?
at
You
these
swallowed?
messages. No, kids woke up. So, but I was super lost. I looked at the messages. The messages like go down, go this way, go left. Nope, not this way. And it was helpful, And so yeah, I agree with that. Granted, there are some that are just stupid, but
I've ran into both like helpful and trolls, but I've ran into more helpful, especially in the snow area where they have the messages at.
mhm.
They will purposely put messages where you can go on the invisible bridge, and I was like, that's crazy. And then there was just one that said something about snow, and I was like,
Yes,
oh,
yeah.
it makes sense now.
And you know what I think it is? I think because this game is so massive, there are so many things to figure out. You almost want to put your message down to go, I figured this out, look.
Yeah,
Because there are so many
I
so
I
much, so much. Where in a lot of the other Dark Soul games, it's very linear. You know the
Mhm.
path you're supposed to be going. Obviously, oh look,
Yeah.
a dark hallway. Somebody's gonna pop out of there. Okay.
With our time right now, let's try to move on.
Okay.
Let's go to her because I know we're gonna go long in the next topic right now. Kevin's got final thoughts.
Okay. So I put a message against. I keep forgetting her name. The butterfly girl. What is her name?
Not Renali.
Melania?
No, Millennia?
Melina?
Miss
Katana?
No.
Jade.
Elden Ring.
Scarlet.
What? Say it again?
The butterfly from Elden Ring, the boss. I keep forgetting her name. Anyways,
In the secret area. Yeah.
no,
But
the
Oh,
secret area,
no.
the dragon area. I
Dragon.
put a message down because I beat her when I beat her the first time. I was like, all right, cool. I figured this out. Let me put a message down for somebody. And I was like, oh, something something. Maybe if I had bleed or I had blood loss, and
Mm.
that shit had like 120 like praises, and I was like, what the fuck? It's not common sense, but I was like, those type of messages help people, and it's like I could be running through an area and it's just like, oh, you just got a small bit of health. I was like, why?
Yeah, it gives you money.
Mm.
I see.
Why?
Okay.
There are PvP videos of people about to die and got appraisal and was able to live.
Oh
It's
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
funny.
That's hilarious.
Let's go on to the next article. Well, it's not really an article; it's more just a reveal. So Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer came out, and this was really unexpected. Like Danny sent me the trailer, or sent us the trailer for Instagram. I was like, oh, I was expecting the Kingdom Hearts 4 not to come out for like another 10 years. So we got the trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4. It looks super realistic. It has an older looking Sora fighting in what is it to me, it's clearly a scripted event. It may be in game, but it's a scripted event to me. I wouldn't even consider it gameplay really, but it it technically is. And a few either unknown characters or not so well known characters, pretty much. Some they had the Organization 13 cloaks. They had the female character in the beginning of the game that was with Sora. Graphics look amazing. It looks like it's going more of the realistic route, aside from Donald and Goofy towards the end of the trailer. Square Enix has said that the game is being developed on the Unreal 5 engine entirely. So, what were your impressions on the trailer, and is there anything you expect to happen in the new storyline, which is the Lost Master?
Well, time out. But before we do that, it was developed on Unreal 4 and now it's being converted over to
They're moving it to 5. The whole
after
game
it
will be
just
on 5.
got released. And the only other difference between 5 is all the lighting that it does. So it's gonna look a lot
It's yes,
prettier.
it's mostly the lighting effects. Yeah, I
Character-
get
and
granted.
it's lighting effects and character development, the way they can make characters look more realistic.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
so the game will, especially in a game like this, is be really
Now,
useful.
I gotta give it to Randy first. Hold
on, but before we do this, do you know?
Yeah, because I'm gonna go. No, I'm gonna go on a fucking tangent. So you guys.
know.
Well,
Well,
that
some
no,
weird
this
things out.
this
Wait,
that's the
wait,
thing though.
do you
I
know
want
when
Randy
that
to talk about his thoughts on it and everything.
Yeah, and I
So
will.
that way
He'll
we
have
can.
his verse. But do you know why this got released?
Wasn't it the anniversary?
Do you-
20
It's
Yeah.
the anniversary.
yes.
It's the 20th anniversary or 25th,
I don't.
20th.
I think that's an excuse, but I don't think they would have if it wasn't for that Nvidia leak. Because they said that this got
Eh,
before everything has come out. That's one of the big things that everybody's like, yeah, this is finally confirming.
yes, the
Nvidia leak
Nvidia
is
leak
100%
kind of screwed them.
Because this is the fourth thing. It's like 4 out of 8 things I think they've showed that have come true,
Mhm.
and a lot of them were far fetched. Like Kingdom Hearts 4 again was far fetched. You know, Chrono Trigger Mastered. Whoever fucking would have thought of that
Mhm.
shit? Super far fetched. And then it was 2 other ones. I can't remember what they were, but they were like. One of them was like, yeah, I get that, but
I don't
there were
think
3 out
so.
of the 4 that got released was super.
I don't
far-fetched,
agree.
and
I don't think it was
so
because of the leak. I think
yes, so
I think because of the
leaked-
fact that it's Square Enix though, they like to oh shit, hold on. We get disconnected here?
No, I don't know.
That was weird.
Oh, the chat.
Oh,
was-
weird. The chat was. Sorry. So Square Enix has always done a good job when it comes to handling their marketing just fine. So like for them to be like quote unquote pressured just because there was a leak, I think I call bullshit
But they never
because
had no, they
although the
never had
leak
a leak like this
but
before, and
although the leak was true, they could have completely either no commented on it or they could
well,
have
they did.
denied it.
They did
But they
they
didn't.
no
So
commented on
but here's the thing though. So the reason why I feel like they released a trailer is because the game they're working on it because they're actually progressing with the game enough for them to warrant to show a trailer. Not because of the leak, it's because it was on their own accord. It was on their own volition.
I think they're trying to get ahead of leaks and stuff like that, and that's why everything is kind of like being put out there. And I think we're gonna see a lot more this coming year. Only fucking thing that wasn't on that goddamn leak, I think, was Final
But
Fantasy
that's the
2.
thing though. If we see more of Kingdom Hearts throughout the year, then that proves my point that a lot of the game is very much not the whole game is completed, but a lot of the game is completed to the point where they have something to show for it. So that just proves that leak or not, they have stuff to show, which is why a trailer is fine for them to reveal right now. If they had nothing, if they had nothing to show, but they scrambled for this trailer, then that makes more sense.
This game's not coming out for another 5 years. There's no way in hell this game comes out in another 5 years. Honestly. That has been their MO. Like Randy can say it, like when they first released talked about Kingdom Hearts 1, it took them like almost 10 years for the fucking game to actually come out or some shit. Maybe that's part 2 to part 3, but it was like this crazy fucking timelines from when they always announced their Kingdom Hearts games to when they actually come out. So who fucking knows when this game's actually gonna come out?
Okay, Randy, go ahead and talk your shit, man. Go ahead.
Oh, what? Mom and dad are done fighting? But here we go. I threw up.
Oh man.
Anyways, so as Kevin put in the group chat, he said no more wet ass Sora, which is very true because what they did with the other Unreal Engine, and I'm glad that fucking Sober had brought that up. I didn't like the way that the game looked at all.
Really?
In the other Unreal, it looked disgusting. Everything looked like it was made out of candy and it was moist. Like you took a gummy bear, you sucked on it, and you just dropped it.
You mean this trailer?
No, not here, not for 4. I mean 3. Like 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
when I first played 3, I wanted to bite into the characters because they looked like they all tasted different, and it's really bad. Like, the gummy ship looked like it was made out of gummy, and for once, it actually went well. But everything else should not look like it's candy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so fucking happy with his design right now.
The art style.
Yes, but also there's something that everyone was like, oh, he got the Final Fantasy treatment, blah blah blah. Yeah, he looks a bit more realistic.
Sure. Yeah.
He has been in a coma only for like 7 fucking days. So.
But he aged like 20. Like 20 years. Like
they get him like a different fucking clothing thing.
yeah.
But here's the thing. This is the thing. Because he looks more realistic. Something it could be yes, it could be no. I don't know if that's going to be his permanent design throughout the game, because remember that Donald's magic changes his form based on whatever land they go to.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that.
Oh, so you think it's because of that world?
It can be, but at the same time, it can't be because he's not with Donald and Goofy. So I don't know if Donald has to be present for it, or if it's something that's already like innate on Sora, so he gets the Final Fantasy treatment in Quadratum.
I mean, but isn't Quadratum more like, it's not necessarily the afterlife, but it's like
Quadratum is Twilight
Town. Is Twilight Town?
No, I'm saying it's basically like Twilight Town. It's Limbo.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. So that's what I was. My point was going to be like, maybe the rules don't apply there because it's just a different realm in some way. I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas.
No. You could be right on that one. It's just really interesting. Like I do really enjoy the design. I do know that it's going to take place a degree of the game is going to take place alongside Melody and Memories, because Melody takes place after Remind. And Remind is where Sora wakes up in Quadratum. Like after you fight Yozora, you know how he like.
So it's not really part 4?
No, it is part 4. It's just gonna be like Melody and Memory is gonna end before 4 ends. They're gonna be like parallel to each other. So while Sora is being sought for by Kairi and Melody, 4 is gonna continue. The same way that, like in the whole timeline, whenever I do fucking approach that, Birth by Sleep ends. and then continues as Aqua, but Aqua's story is parallel to Kingdom Hearts 1. So those are happening simultaneously, where she's in the fucking dark world for like 10 years. But anyways, um,
The Melody Memory is just the girl trying to fucking save you, right? That's all it is.
yeah, it's a music game.
But it's basically the storyline is the girl's trying to save you,
Yeah,
trying to
Kairi's the
save Sora.
protagonist in that one. Yeah,
Yeah, she's just trying to save Sora, so it makes sense that it goes
it's
side by
gonna
side.
it's gonna be parallel. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mhm.
because it's two
because
people trying to save each other.
what is it? Even fucking 358. That one takes place. It starts off in the middle of Kingdom Hearts 1. It goes throughout Chain of Memories and ends the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2. So the games do progress together to some degree for certain ones. So it's definitely gonna have like references to Melody, for sure. It already has a fucking reference to Union Cross, which we'll mention Missing Link after this. Which I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of pissed that they even fucking have another game for like mobile coming out, because I'm
Oh yeah,
assuming
yeah,
that was
yeah.
gonna take place after Dark Road, because it's Union Cross and it's Union Cross Dark Road. Then it's supposed to be Birth by Sleep, but now it's gonna be Dark Road, Missing Link, Birth by Sleep.
So do you think the Master is one of those two Organization 13 cloaks?
Yeah, most likely.
Like an
Yeah,
apprentice or something?
Yeah, it
it's,
looks like
it's
though,
probably
like
Lucio
it's just
and Mom. So we'll
Mm.
see what the fuck that is.
because it
But the
looks
orange haired
the,
girl,
the way he moves, the master moves, is kind of look like him.
very sensual in his cloak.
Yeah.
No, but the orange haired girl, that one was that one threw me for a fucking loop, to be quite honest. But it also does kind of make sense. So that's Strelitzia, which is Marluxia's sister, the Scythe guy.
Mhm.
And if you guys played Chain of Memories, or if you didn't,
Mhm.
he's the end boss for Chain of Memories.
Mhm.
And the nobody that he uses, that's his sister's nobody. So that's Strelitzia's nobody. In order for someone to get their shit back, their heartless and their nobody has to be defeated, so that way they could regain their body. So obviously, with her heartless being, her nobody being defeated, I'm sure that her heartless was fucking dead at some point too. So now she's back, but I just want to know why, because now they're probably going to integrate a lot of Union Cross, because Lorium, being Marluxia, he was one of the founding house members of the whole Keyblade War thing, along with Ventus as well. So Marluxia and Ventus are fucking ancient.
See, this is the thing that confuses me the most about Kingdom Hearts, and I think that's the main core problem. It's just there's
What's
just too many goddamn names. Like I get
Look
like
at what
there's I get that there's a nobody and then there's also a heartless version. So like the fact that they
So
decide to make their own names confuses the fuck out of me sometimes.
in terms of what, the Marluxia,
In terms of
Lorium,
just juggling all those names, it's almost like if you're watching a TV series and they
or if you're like,
introduce too many characters, you're not going to remember anybody because there's just too many characters to remember. All I remember is the guy with the scythe, the
you
guy
feel
with
invested.
the guy with
there's
with
13
the
different
circle blades,
organizations. There's like 13 different organization members. Then they all have fucking on
and then they
like
all have well, they all have
counterparts and
nobodies, and they
heartless,
all have heartless. So that's like
and
26
then there's
people you
all
have to
like all the
memorize.
fucking
Well,
side bad
they're
guys that nobody gives a
the
shit about.
organization members don't have actual heartless with them.
But they have
Um,
names. That's not
yeah,
not.
because the
But
thing
they
is
see
that
they have
there's
names. The
supposed to be
Heartless
this
have
whole
names, and
thing.
then you have to memorize the regular core characters' names, and then the side characters' names, and then the characters from like the spin-off series that are very much connected to the still to the main story. It's just like that's
Yeah,
what
well,
makes it
and
so
it's a spin-off.
convoluted.
It's so okay. The whole thing with the disconnect of the heartless and the nobody is that the heartless is literally the soul being like ripped out the person, and then they're left as a shell,
No,
as a
I
nobody.
get that. I
Yeah,
get
yeah, yeah.
it. Yeah.
Well, when they have the names, like the organization members, that's just a nobody that had too strong of a will to just let themselves be a husk. So they end up like being themselves to a certain degree, but once they're defeated, they could like go back to their former human selves.
No,
And
I
that's why at the end of 3, they come back waking up in the fucking room and everyone's back to
right.
fucking normal.
I get the story. I get story wise why it's separated like that. I'm just saying as a player who's trying to understand the story, it's confusing because there's just so many names that you have to follow. Like sometimes it's the nobody that you're trying to focus on, and sometimes it's the heartless you're trying to focus on. Now we're focusing on relatives, so it's like now the sister of this heartless or this nobody. It's like, sorry, Kevin, you wanted to say
And
something.
lots of time travel too.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
and
Yeah.
time travel.
Kevin, go ahead.
I feel like even though, let's say for example, right, we're talking about Randy, for example, we're gonna use you, right? You have a nobody and you have a heartless, right? They both have a name. They all three of you guys have a name, even though it
Yeah.
seems the exact same. So it's three versions of you that we have to remember, and we have to remember which one it's the important one, which one got killed, how they got killed, and all that stuff. That means there's even though there's 13 members, right? That's 39 names you have to remember. And
No,
it's
just in this
It,
case, one because their
yeah, no,
normal
no, no,
bodies
no,
aren't all
Sora.
important.
Sora.
No, no, no.
I'm
Sora.
saying
Donald.
Goofy, Mickey,
let's
done. Next.
yeah, because so because
Because
it's
ultimately, that's, I mean, I'm not as invested as, and I know a good amount of the story. I saw a few different lore videos and stuff, but ultimately, all I care about is what's happening to
The
Sora,
core
how
story.
this, yeah,
yeah.
core story. The ultimate is that's all I want to know. It's core story for me.
And
I know
that's the thing.
there's a
Like
lot of interesting stuff with the Master, like who he is, what he's actually doing, all that stuff, because it ultimately links to core story. But that's the
Mhm.
problem is I wanted to know how this is gonna link to core story.
the thing is,
You
like
know,
I have also watched, especially like when 3 was coming out, I watched numerous um videos so that way I can catch up because it's been so long since we had played a Kingdom Hearts game when 3 came out or as 3 was coming out. So I couldn't remember a lot of the stories, so I needed a refresher.
Mhm.
And it's like I remembered a lot of it up until the point where they started naming too many names. Like they started doing this name, and then it was like, okay, and this guy did this, but then this guy did that, and then this guy put this guy to sleep, and then this one woke up, but then he did this, and then the other guy, and then nobody did this one. It was just like, and mind you, these are all different names for each and every single one of these events. So I was just like, what the fuck? Like I'm completely lost now. What the fuck is going on?
You want to know when that happened for me? When Xehanort started going back in time, and everybody got fucking
And the
annoyed.
time travel stuff,
I was
yeah.
like, no fucking way. No,
The actual funny part about all this that you're saying, I understand the confusion because the same way that you're invested in Destiny and can remember every single fucking
But
like
the thing is that
hierarchy
there's
of
not a
thing.
million names and timelines for that matter when it involves that stuff. It's just one cohesive story.
Well, either way, I still would be just like, what? Huh?
Yeah.
I don't
But
get it.
granted, I will admit though, the reason why people are confused about it is because they don't read the lore. It's not
No,
all
yeah, of
there.
course.
It's not all there up front for you like Kingdom Hearts does. You have to read this
Jiminy's
stuff.
journal.
Jiminy's journal. But like, but yeah, but that at least with Destiny, it's a cohesive one timeline, one thing, and just a handful of characters. That's pretty
Yeah,
much it.
no, of course. And then also the thing with like recap videos, they are helpful, but they're also rendered moot the second that a new chapter of a certain story comes out because now it's like if you had any loose ends that were in your like understanding of it, if they got tied up, you had another loose end with that same story because now you have to figure out how the fuck to connect it to another part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's really complicated, don't get me wrong. But like my investment on it was really autistic to be quite honest. So I'm like I'm super fucking into it.
uh,
Um,
so I
what were
have
you
a
gonna say?
question.
Good.
So it's not saying that it is, but is it like is like this story of Kingdom Hearts like in the form of a tree, so that it
Yeah.
has different branches, but they're all related to the same story?
Hmm.
Because it's like they
No, no, it does.
yeah, no, they relate. They I mean they're in the same timeline, but it branches out into its own little thing, but it still pertains to the main core
So
story.
the
I'm
and
the
guessing.
that, yeah,
this time like all these games that we have, they all take place in one timeline.
Yeah.
There are different timelines that are present,
Hmm.
but they're not played in or like really alluded to. Like the only one that we do is Remind. That's the only one that's like an actual you fuck around with how things go, and that's where you're messing with time in as Sora. Everything else that's done from Union Cross all the way to 3, it's still just one solid line, just that the
Okay.
games are released in different order. Um,
So
Xehanort's the only one that dips his toes into different timelines to start bringing shit back and whatever the case.
so at what game does it like the timeline start? I know it's is it 3 or is it like 2, like or that
For what?
that Xehanort starts fucking with the timeline.
What
he
game
sta-
do
he
they
s-
start?
he started
You know
fucking
when
with
it
it in
gets
Birth by Sleep.
when it gets really super confusing. I think it's when they start doing the master stuff and all those
Yeah,
fucking people in the past. When did they start doing that? That was in one
yeah.
of the fucking
That's
DLCs.
Union Cross.
Mm-hmm.
Union Cross
Not
was for the phone. That's the one that introduced that entire story because that's supposed to talk about the Keyblade War that it keeps on
yes.
being spoken about in Birth by Sleep. But even then, you do find the Keyblade graveyard because
Yeah, and
okay, the
that's a
secret
problem with
cutscene.
this series too, though. It's just that, like, yeah, like Union Cross, for example, it introduces a lot more of the story that's important. But when you, let's say you missed that game, or let's say you didn't play that game, and you're playing something like Birth by Sleep or something else after that, and it mentions little things like that. It does. Like they make little references that are still connected to the story, and as a player, you're like, what are they? What the fuck are they talking about? Like
Well,
who is this person? Where did
Union
this person come from?
That's
Union came out after Birth because Birth. Oh, that sounded disgusting. Um,
No, but I'm just throwing examples out there
no.
of
And the
how
thing is, I do understand that.
not necessarily even the timeline, but how the games were released, and not only how the games were released, but how they progressed the story, assuming that the players had played the other games. So that's what confuses people also. It's just like you're playing one game, whether it's a spinoff or not, and then you're playing a direct sequel to it, and then all of a sudden they're making these references and all this stuff. Like for example, if I never played oh Jesus, what was the one that they introduced Aqua Ventus
Birth.
and
Birth by
Birth?
Sleep.
So like if I'm playing just Kingdom Hearts 2 or 3 and they start naming these characters and I'm like, who are these guys?
Hold on, I can answer this. So, for everybody that played Kingdom Hearts 3, there is in the beginning of the game, before you start the game, they give you
Yeah,
a little manual that says, "Do you want to catch up?"
But
yeah. They
it's
give
not
you a rundown of
enough.
it.
But it's
It's
never
no,
enough.
no, 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 no,
You need
no.
hours of context in order for you to know it all.
To play 3, you do not need all the extra stuff that to understand what's going on. You can just literally read those glossaries or have the story read
Dude,
to you,
I've
and you will
played
understand just as much as
I've
anybody else.
played every game and every spin-off, and I did the recap of 3 and still didn't understand it.
Yeah,
And maybe you
that's
just didn't pay
that's
attention enough,
free.
buddy.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
It just
because I understand the majority of it, and I did the same shit you did, so maybe it is just you. Oh,
yeah.
But that is
It's
my point still. Like, yes, I'll admit maybe it is just me. Maybe I don't get it. But because I love the games. It's just the story is so convoluted. Not everybody's gonna understand it. So like it just blows my mind that so going back to Kingdom Hearts 4, because we should really just finish up on that before we end up the show. But going back to Kingdom Hearts 4, it blows my mind that I really, really, really thought that they were just gonna focus on something brand new. Like
what do you-
the Sora out of the way, Mickey and Donald out of the way. Like if you were still gonna bring Disney characters, and so be it, because right now Disney owns Sora and Disney owns obviously the Disney characters. So there's no getting away from it. Like, but I just hate the fact that they're still gravitating towards the same damn characters and
why?
introducing and
That's like doing a
introducing
middle pair and not having Snake.
and
And
introducing the
Oh wait, hold on.
same
Let him finish this because
intro.
I actually want to hear this.
So because they're introducing the Master of Masters, right?
Okay.
If you were a brand new person to the Kingdom Hearts series, wouldn't you want to start a brand new storyline so people could start understanding and following things better rather than being, okay, now you have to find out who the Master of Masters are. Now you have to find out who this girl is that was in the intro of the trailer. You don't know who the fuck any of these people are. So you're still confused as hell because technically, even though it's still a new story arc, it's still a continuation of the lore that's already been going on in the game. So it
Because that's what the lore is.
it infuriates me that they had this opportunity to start fresh and they didn't really do it.
But the thing
they
is
don't.
that
But
there
they
was no
can't
need.
start
Hold
fresh.
wait. Sober. Hold on. There is no starting fresh because the entire thing, the whole series started with Sora. Even though that we have our prequels, everything is tied to Sora, whether you want it to be or
Why
not.
can't you can
You are
introduce
going to have
somebody
these
somebody else? You could
No,
literally
there are characters that were introduced.
you
That's
could
what the Wayfinder trio is. That's what fucking Ventus, Aqua, and Terra is. That's a new
Yeah.
group. That's what Roxas, Axel, and Shion are. That's a
yes.
Sea Salt trio. You have your Pow Pow trio being the fucking
So you don't
Kyrie,
need a
Lucas,
trio
Sora.
though. Why you could have
No, but
literally
that
done a whole new, completely different story. Let's say with Roxas, you could have done a whole new, completely
358.
different story. No, I'm not talking about the old games. I'm talking about now with a new with a brand the story. We had supposedly closure in Kingdom Hearts 3. You could
No,
have
because
started
no,
with
we
something
had closure to
brand
the
new.
Xehanort arc. No, we had closure to the Xehanort arc. This is
Yes.
still it's still the battle between light and darkness.
It's
That's
still
what it is.
closure with everything that happened with
That's
all
not
of that stuff
everything, though.
though.
Not
No,
at all. No, because
no, that's
You don't
that's
have
where
to
it's
continue
no,
with
Xehanort
Sora.
is not the big bad.
Hold on, Danny.
Xehanort is
It's
not
I'm
like
the
not
fucking
I'm
big
not
bad.
saying I'm
No,
not
no, no,
saying
no,
the
no, no, hold on, hold on.
Xehanort's
No,
the end all be all bad guy
no,
of
but
the
what you're
entire
saying is that
game.
that's the
What I'm
closure. That's
saying is
not
that
the
the closure
closure.
that we needed for that story arc. So now that you're
Not at
starting with a
all.
new story arc, why do
No.
you have to use the same characters that reference the old stuff to confuse new players even more?
Because that's the fucking actual game. It's not
yeah.
all Disney. But anything with the organization, that is actual Kingdom Hearts.
Mhm.
Everything with the different planets that you're going to, fucking visiting parts of the Caribbean, going over to fucking
You
Halloween
can still
Town,
do all
that
that.
is filler. No, I'm saying all that is filler. That's not important. Right now, the fact that they're even just focusing on Quadratum being a whole fucking Kingdom Hearts thing, Square Enix is gonna take the reins on this, and that's what we fucking wanted. That's what we're missing in 3. 3
Sure.
didn't have enough of that until the last part. But yes, we had a closure with a certain arc, but that's just one villain, the sub villain. Master of Masters is the
main,
entity of darkness.
yes.
That is the main bad. Sora is supposed to be the warrior of light. He's basically the fucking main guy from fucking Final Fantasy 1. That's what he is. He's supposed to be the embodiment of pure. Yeah, we have other Keyblade Masters, but they are not Sora. Sora is the one that has to end the entire
So
thing.
this doesn't end
That's
the story arc then. 3 was
You're right.
bullshit.
no,
Yes.
but 3
why
was
you
not
don't like
closure. 3 was never supposed to
3
be the
was not
ending.
closure then is what you're saying. 3 was a bullshit excuse.
I never said that there was any closure on that either. It was the end of the Xehanort arc. That's it. Xehanort
just
found
also-
closure with himself.
So it's not
He figured out
closure
that he
then.
wanted to stop his fuckery with the time
But
travel.
that was how it was marketed is still my point also, especially for the new people who want to still jump into Kingdom Hearts at some point, like at 4 or 5 or 6, is that when 3 happened, Square Enix said this ends a story arc. This finally ends the story of Kingdom Hearts as we know it now at 3. And so now what you're telling me is that was bullshit because it's still continuing because the real villain of the story is the Master of Masters.
They've always said that the real villain is Master of
I
Masters.
didn't know who the
Basically,
fuck Master of Masters was until part 3.
which is our point is that you haven't actually paid attention to the storyline
Kingdom
of
Hearts
As
3 is
many
not
other
intended-
as
Hold on, wait,
many
wait,
other
wait,
people
wait.
have
No.
too.
Listen to this. Kingdom Hearts 3 is not intended to be the final game in the series,
But
and
that's
serves as the final chapter.
no, not
of
the final
Dark
game.
S- No,
But I
hold on.
never said the final
As the
game.
final chapter. You said the end of the story.
The
This
end
is
of the
not the end of
story.
Kingdom Hearts.
Yes. They literally said the end of the story arc that we know it now.
Can I finish this first? The final chapter of the Darkness Seeker Xehanort saga. The end of that story that we know. Xehanort has been the big bad since Birth by Sleep. When you see that, he was still the antagonist in 1 technically, because Ansem is his Heartless. We defeat Ansem. Now, because that was gone, we still need his nobody to defeat Xemnas. Now, both of them are gone. Xehanort can have his body back, right? So now we have him, but he already did his time skip where he still has Terranort. So Terranort, the cloak guy that you see in Destiny Island, that is Xehanort's will. That's his pure fucking concentrated
So now there's
hatred.
a third body?
Lingering will is just Terra's rage.
I thought
The,
it was
the, the whole purpose of some of these things is that some people are strong enough to not perish when they should be, right? So Ansem, Heartless, Xemnas, nobody. That cloak is just his actual will to go. Let's see his plan to open up Kingdom Hearts and fuck everything up. So he gets his body back. You got Terranort. He already ended up fucking speaking to Terranort. So he went back to get baby Xehanort, and this is where 3 goes with that. That whole plot is just Xehanort in of itself. Birth by Sleep, even though it's the Wayfinder trio and like the start of that, it still revolves around Sora because Ventus locks himself in Sora's heart. They all connect with them, and fucking even Aqua was like, "Dude, you're gonna be a fucking like a beast with a Keyblade at some point. Whatever. Like you remind me of Ventus. I have faith in you, and I see this huge light in you."
Hmm.
He was still the chosen one, even though they were the protagonists of that. They're still a subplot.
Yeah,
Xehanort was never the main thing.
I think it's still bullshit. I think it's still
That's
bullshit. Like, and yes, I'll admit, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they could still stick with Sora for forever. They could stay with Sora forever because he's the chosen one. He's the light warrior, and fine. I'll admit that. But they can still. They either should have just continued the story, and again, not say, oh, this is the end of Sora's chapter, because that was another thing that happened too. Oh, we're done with Sora's story. This is the end of Sora's chapter thing. These are things that were said in marketing. Like, this is the end of the Kingdom Hearts story that we know right now. And now I'm finding out that, like, no, it's still continuing even more now. So it's just like, man, I really don't want to play this game now. Like now Kingdom Hearts 4, I'm not excited for it. Like
Okay, hold on.
it
Now
was
let
it
me-
was a
let me get something
gorgeous
else out
it
here.
was a gorgeous in-game cutscene, to show off what it's possibly going to look like when the game comes out and stuff. But I was just like, so it's still introducing shit from the old. I was literally ready. Like, when 3 was done, I was like, yes, I can finally like jump into Kingdom Hearts 4 whenever that does come out, and it'll be a new story. It'll be something
No.
that I can hopefully um understand, and I could start from scratch again, and I could like I can feel like I'm caught up with the story again. Like, I can finally be a part of this community of these hardcore Kingdom Hearts fans, because now I can start over with Kingdom Hearts
Yes,
4.
but if you felt like that, then you obviously weren't in
No,
touch
no,
with
no,
what
that's
was going
bullshit.
on.
That's bullshit.
hold on,
That's
wait,
bullshit.
chat,
Because
time out,
no,
time
no,
out,
no, no,
time
no,
out.
no, no.
Mom,
You're
Dad,
making
Mom, Dad,
stop,
Mom,
stop,
Dad,
stop,
wait,
stop,
wait,
stop,
wait,
stop,
wait, wait.
because you're making an assumption. Because you're making an assumption because I have
No, but
tried.
you're also making an
I have
assumption on this.
tried very hard to understand the Kingdom Hearts storyline for quite a while, even before 3 came out. And to no avail. No matter what I did. And I've played the games, both games, multiple times. I've played maybe Chain of Memories and shit, what was the other Game Boy one?
Game Boy.
It was just Chain of Memories that was there.
Memories.
There was two
The other
two
DS
Game Boy
one, no, there was
ones.
2 DS ones. There was Chain of
Yes.
Memories, which was
Well,
the DS
that's what
ones
I
were
mean. Sorry,
358
I'm like
recoded.
97 years old. You know what I mean?
The Nintendo one.
Yeah, the Nintendo
The,
one.
It was 358 and
Mm.
Recoded.
Oh shit! Now I'm confused because
Recoded
there's so
was
many
the one that's
spin-offs.
PS1.
It may have been 358 then, but I played
358
two.
is
I
Roxas.
I played 2 of the. No, that's not it then. Because I
If you
played
still
that
play
one.
as
I
Baby
played that
Sora,
one.
It's Recoded.
I played that one once, so it was Recoded. Yeah, yes, so it was Recoded. So I played Recoded and Chain of Memories more than one time before as well, and the rest of the spin-offs I've only played once. So like, it's not like I'm just playing part 1 and part 2 and pissed off because I don't understand anything. I have genuinely been a fan of the series and tried hard to understand the series. So like, don't say that I'm just like some guy here who just doesn't care or who has not made an effort to understand everything. I truly have. So I'm jumping into 4 thinking I can finally start over and jump into a fresh new story and join this community that's very passionate about this franchise. But now I can't even do that because I don't know who the fuck half these characters are, and it still involves the rest of the story in the first place.
Well, can I put this out there? You saying that you're hoping for it to be a new story, that's your hope. You saying that it was marketed in a certain way, that's how you interpreted it. Because
That's
there
not
is
how it
something here.
interpreted. That's
No,
how
no,
it
hold
was
on.
after
Wait,
3. That's how it was after 3.
Calma, calma. Wusa. Here it says, Tetsuya Nomura confirms Sora's story will continue after Kingdom Hearts 3. During the Tokyo Game Show stage presentation of KH3, Nomura reconfirmed that Kingdom Hearts 3 will be the end of the Darkseeker saga, and also revealed that it will not be the last time we see Sora.
Yes,
It's the Darkseeker
I remember
saga.
that.
But that's just Xehanort's story. And if Sora's going to continue to be there, what they did with the new thing, with a new quote unquote story kind of thing with a different protagonist, that's Melody of Memory. Well, to kind of like buffer, and that could give you a recap of the story as well. it actually does a damn good fucking job at elaborating certain parts and only focusing on
I'll be
what it
honest with
was
you.
that was for the
I'll
story.
be honest with you. I stopped after that. After part 3, any other Kingdom Hearts game that came out, for example, Melody of Memory, I stopped. I stopped after that because I stopped caring. I stopped wanting to understand the story and everything like that. Because again, I also hoped for the fact that part 4 it would start fresh and I could start with something new. I don't care if it still started with Sora or not. I just wanted a fresh new story, and it kind of seems like it's not going to go that route.
Well, this kind of technically is a new story because the first one, the Union Cross arc, that's it's 2 stories in one, being the
So, but
Keyblade War.
aside from the hardcore fans, how many people do you think really did the Union Cross story?
Oh, I know for a
Like,
fact. I didn't do the fuck.
do
Oh, wait,
you?
hold on. I didn't do the Unicross story, but there is a recap. The server shut down already for that, but if you do download the game, you could go back and you could view everything chapter by chapter.
But do you think
to
with
have the
something
story
that's
condensed.
starting with a new story, so you say, you would think that it wouldn't be connected to other games that you'd have to play in order to understand it, though.
I mean, Kingdom Hearts 3 pulled out fucking Ephemer, the white-haired guy that no one knew what the fuck that was.
But again, 3 was still part of the same story that was supposed to end at that point. So what I'm saying is, like, 4 was supposed to be fresh, but you're telling me that I should have played Union Cross in order for me to understand even the littlest bit of part 4 whenever it does come out. So
I'm
it's
not
just
saying you
like,
should have played it. I'm
well,
saying that
yes.
that's the story of that.
Well, I should have.
I'm not saying, oh, hey, dude, play this game, whatever.
Obviously, I
If you
have.
want to have a recap,
Right.
by all means, go
Of
ahead.
course, I have the option to. But what I'm saying is, like, for especially for new people, for people, let's say, for example, because I'm looking at it in another point of view. For example, I'm looking at it at fresh eyes of a person who's never played a Kingdom Hearts game in his life. And he's too intimidated or too worried about jumping into the game because it's already very well known to have a convoluted story arc or storyline. So for someone to be like, all right, I'm ready for part 4 because part 3 already ended everything and stuff like that. So now you, as a hardcore fan, is telling me, well, you can play part 4 if you want, but if you really want to understand something, you have to play Union Cross. So I'm just like, oh fuck. So that means I still have to go back and look at other things, which granted, yes, maybe it'll get some fans into playing some of the old games, but there are going to be some who be like, well, fuck that. I'm not going to play it.
And
I'm not
course I
going to
get
play
that
them
because
anymore.
Hold on,
the
but listen,
handheld
anything.
ones were
Hold on, wait,
very.
time out. Destiny. If I played Destiny Witch Clan, I have no fucking clue what was going on. I literally had to go back to figure out what the fuck they were talking about. I literally had to watch other videos to figure
Okay.
out what the hell was going on in Witch Clan. There is no context at all whatsoever that says that these people were fucking basically trapped and being tricked. When she said that it was all a fucking lie at the end of that, I had no idea what they were talking about. So it's it's the exact same thing.
No, it's not.
Part 4 is an expansion to this story.
It is not.
Let's Screen is the exact same thing.
Well, I agree. Part 4 is an expansion of the next story, on the same story, mind you. Yes, that's what my argument is. That's what my argument is. That is not Destiny. That is not Destiny.
Of course, you can, as a fan. I mean,
do you know how it's not Destiny?
If you're a brand new person trying to go into that game to figure out that fucking storyline, it is absolutely impossible because that one, hey, I think the main story starts from Destiny 1. So there goes that.
No, it doesn't. That's the thing. Destiny 1 was so bad when it comes to its story content. There's barely any content for you to even want to follow in the first place. Destiny 2, you say that you're confused about a lot what's going on with the Witch Queen right now. And granted, yes, I could understand why, but it has nothing to do with similarities to Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts' problem with its continuity and its convolution is the fact that there's so many spin-offs and so many characters to the game that it's hard to follow every single one of them, especially because of the fact that they don't follow a continuous timeline. They're asynchronous. So you have to play them in a certain order in order for you.
They were released.
No.
The way that
yes,
they were released,
yes,
they're released
yes,
in a different timeline.
yes.
They're not asynchronous.
Fine, granted, yes, they were released in an asynchronous order. So just like, let's say, the Metroid series, for example, the Metroid series were released in an asynchronous order. So you'd have to play them in a synchronous way in order for you to understand the story. Destiny is not like that. The way Destiny works is that the Destiny storyline is mostly hidden in the written lore. You have to be You
Exactly.
have to be motivated enough for you to go into the lore that's given to you in the game and
Right?
read it yourself. So
And you
if
have to
you're
be motivated enough to go back to Union
I
Cross,
know.
or you could have someone like me
Exactly.
explain
So
It's
it
the
to
you're
exact
you.
same
so you're
thing.
telling me I have to buy another game to fucking understand the
It's
story?
free. It's free.
Other games too.
It's free.
Other spin-offs as well. I'm not saying just one example as Union Cross. I'm talking about Chains of Memory. I'm talking about Recoded. I'm talking about Birth by Sleep. You have to pay for all those games in order to understand the entirety of Kingdom Hearts 1 through 3. So
It's on
now,
sale.
I have to, in order for me to really enjoy part 4's story, I still have to play previous games.
But then who's to say that they're not going to explain what it is?
But
Well,
again,
sure. All right.
any
You
sequel game.
you better have a detailed as fuck intro into Kingdom Hearts 4 in order for me to understand everything. And I can
That's
bet
fine.
you my paycheck that won't happen.
But again,
Oh,
okay, but G,
hold
you
on,
get
hold on.
hold on,
Now we made it spicy.
you get sensitive when it comes to Destiny, so because you're way too overpassionate. Let's say simple
No,
game like
because I
wait, stop,
know
stop.
Destiny's faults. I
All right,
know
I'm done.
Destiny's faults.
Yeah,
We'll
and
go to
And
I'm
bed.
very much
Destiny
aware
and
Kingdom Hearts'
Destiny's
fault is as
fault
well.
and Destiny's fault
I'm going to
Destiny's
bed. I'm going now.
Destiny. Oh, he's pissed off. Destiny's fault is because all the stuff is written lores, because it's sitting there for people who have to read, and a lot of people don't want to read shit. So that's perfectly fine and understandable that a lot of people don't want to read that stuff, so they just want to play the game and move on. But with Kingdom Hearts, all the story is introduced into the game itself. There's nothing that you have to read. Everything that you play yourself and introduce in cinematics and stuff. So it's like I don't see what the argument is with the both of them. I don't know what he's pissed off about, because it's two very different things.
I'm pretty much not even in between you guys. It's just there's three groups here. There's the people that care, the people that don't care, and the people that just play the game. And I'm the guy that
I
just
don't
plays.
agree with that either. Like I am one of the people that care but can't get into it because I'm trying to care but I don't understand anything. I want to care and the game doesn't let me.
So the way I looked at it is I went through this whole binge. It was during quarantine that I played most of the Kingdom Hearts games. And I did the background, and I watched the lore stories. I watched everything so I can play 3 and have a understanding. I didn't understand most of the stuff because I didn't play Union Cross. I didn't play Birth by Sleep. I've never played Birth by Sleep. And there's games that I skipped, and I'm like, because I've already know the lore of it from somebody else, and that's how I understood it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was reading the chat right now. I'm 20 shots deep right now. You're the one who mentioned Destiny. I'll take
It's a joke.
I'll
No,
take
no, 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 no.
I'll take
I'm saying
a
that as a joke
shot.
because of like
I'll
how
take
much
a
Destiny is
shot.
being said.
Yeah, no, you're right. So
I should be taking like
I'll
wild
take-
Kingdom Hearts shots.
well, I was the one who chose the topic though, so that's granted. Like you're free from that shit unless you want to take one. But you mentioned
No,
Destiny.
I'll tax myself for next week.
You mentioned Destiny, and I kept defending it, so it's just like I'll take the shot now for that. But like, come on, like you gotta admit though, like you can't call me
thing is,
biased.
no,
Like I'm offended by what
your point.
I'm offended by what Danny said because he thinks that I'm biased about Destiny, but I'm really not. Like I know its faults and I know what's wrong with the game, but I also know how to defend the game because I know what is right and what is wrong with it.
No, of course, and this is the thing. I do understand your point, and I also disagree with it, but I more so understand it because I could agree that Kingdom Hearts is very flawed in its storytelling, but that's the way that Nomura did it. With 1, it gave you a small story, right? You just have Sora defeating Ansem and, trying to stop him from opening Kingdom Hearts, but it wasn't Kingdom Hearts, it was Door to Darkness, right? And then 2 comes out, and 2 has you start off as Roxas. And between those 2 was Chain of Memories, but people hardly did Chain of Memories. They mainly did like fucking Chain of Memories. Now starting off 2 with who the fuck is this blonde kid? You don't know who the fuck that is. You're fucking lost as shit.
Yeah.
And then 358 comes out and it gives you context to that, and you're like, oh, so the story expands as the games are being released, asynchronous. But once you have them in their proper lines, you could have it in a timeline because the timeline, I'm assuming my assumption is Missing Link is after Dark Road. It could be before Union Cross, which I hope to fucking God it's not. But if it's that case, then it's Union Cross, Dark Road, Missing Link, Birth by Sleep, 0.2, which is happening alongside every single game and ends at 3, So then there's one. One branches off into Chain of Memories in 358. Chain of Memories in 358. Well, Chain of Memories ends in the middle of 358, but 358 continues into 2. You see how like they came out in different times, but it does end up going in a timeline. It'd be probably a lot easier to show you like on a chart, so I'm gonna have to make like diagrams with this. But it,
Okay.
it's like you wanting to go back to like read something. If I played Destiny, I'd be just as lost as fucking sober. And I do understand that the lore is present for you to read. It's just up to the player to want to go back to it.
Wait,
Am
so
I gonna want to go back to it? Hold on, wait, hold on. Am I gonna want to go back to it personally? No, not at
yes,
all.
and I would
But
not
I
fault
would
you for
rather,
that.
and I would rather have you explain it to me the same way that
Granted,
I know that
yes.
you wouldn't go back to play Union Cross because now you can't play it, but you could just watch
So
it. But I would happily explain it to
we're
you.
talking about me and
That's
you.
kind of like a thing. Yeah,
We're
no, no, no.
talking about
I'm
me and
saying,
you. Yes.
I'm
No,
saying
no,
that
no.
in this, just
Yes,
like
yes.
so you know that I
I
understand
completely
you.
agree.
Yeah.
So listen, I completely agree. When it comes to me and you, period,
Mhm.
I could understand why you would never go to Destiny. I can try to convince you all that I want, but because of the fact
Well,
that
I'll play it,
Destiny,
but not be like balls deep in the lore.
exactly, yes. You can enjoy the gameplay for whatever it is, and that's perfectly fine. And you could not care about the story and just completely be uninterested. And I would not fault you for that, because at this point now in the series, oh, excuse me, I'm already having a lot to drink. So at this point in the
Anyways.
series, there's a lot to cover. There is too much to cover. Granted, yes, you can still understand a lot of it, but you would have to know where to look at this point now. So like with Kingdom Hearts though, you're telling me that like I have to look through different games. If everything was available to me, let's say Kingdom Hearts 4. You know what I would love is like a codec, or like not necessarily bestiary, but like Jiminy Cricket,
Lost
like just
Journal.
a journal of everything, like literally every single detail in the game. Or sorry,
And
not in the
that's
game,
what
in the story.
in the story.
Then
No, and
I
that's what
would
Kevin was
then
saying in regards to
then
Thing,
then
with
I would
Dorothy's journal.
then I would hope that I can read it and understand everything. That's what I would hope for part 4.
I mean,
Mhm.
it would be. I'm not saying it.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, because it's gonna be too. It's too. There's no way that you can fit that much story
Mm-hmm.
in one game, and literally as a fucking glossary. You know what I mean? It does not. It wouldn't comprehend.
And the thing is that there's a lot of people who don't want to read. So what other choices do you have to make a 5-hour cinematic of explaining everything before you start Kingdom Hearts 4? Like that's unrealistic also. So it's like
Metal
you
Gear.
you can't win regardless. But what I'm saying is that for new players who want to jump into this Kingdom Hearts 4, I feel like they're still unable to, because there's so much baggage, there's so much shit that they have to know in order for them to truly be invested into the game. Just like if I told Randy go play Destiny 2 right now, and he's gonna be like,
I'll
nah,
play
I'm
it.
not.
I
But
just won't understand.
but you won't understand anything, and it's just
Yeah.
like, okay. And it's the same thing with me too. I'm telling you right now, I'm still gonna play Kingdom Hearts 4. Like I'm probably still gonna buy the game, and I'm probably not gonna enjoy any of it. Just like I didn't enjoy Kingdom Hearts 3. I still bought the game, and I did not enjoy 1 minute of it, because not only did I not understand the story, but didn't understand the story, but I didn't enjoy the gameplay as well. But I'm still gonna play it because I'm a fucking fan of the series in general, and I'm still trying to understand it.
And to be honest, us all, we both agree that the game is bad. We
What
both
happened?
agree that Kingdom Hearts 3 was bad.
3 was bad,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
it was
no,
bad.
I
And
completely
I
I
agree
fucking
with
hated it.
Randy. 2 was probably the best one in the series.
Because it is mechanically, it's fucking amazing,
Mhm.
story wise too.
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
but this is the thing too. One issue, one gripe that I do have, yo, dab me up, bro. Hey. One issue that I do have with like a lot of like YouTube recap stories and shit
Uh-huh.
is that when they're like, oh, focusing on Kingdom Hearts story, they want to talk about Disney too. Like some of them will throw some shit on what happens in certain worlds, but the thing
Nobody
is that
cares.
no, because the thing is that even though the organization appears in certain worlds, none of that is conducive to the actual story.
Yes.
Kingdom Hearts story, it does not have to be in Atlantica. Okay, in 1, technically, it's Twilight Town. Well, it's Destiny Island, Twilight Town, Hollow Bastion, End of the World. That's the whole story.
Is
It's
it
those 4 levels.
isn't Hollow Bastion, obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Hollow Bastion connected to Beauty and the Beast though?
No, that's not Beast. It's not Beast Castle, technically.
Okay.
Because Hollow Bastion was Radiant Gardens, which was a Kingdom Hearts world in of itself,
Okay.
right? So once it got like kind of corrupted by like all the magic and shit, that's when it became Hollow Bastion, when it became like kind of destroyed. Because in Birth by Sleep, you play in Hollow Bastion, but as Radiant Garden, and then in two, once you like find out the real name of the place, it changes from Hollow Bastion into Radiant Garden. So it's not a Beauty and the Beast like castle thing. It's just that because it was a castle, they incorporated Beast in it. That's it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
he's just a support character for that.
Okay.
So it has nothing to do with them because you do have Beast Castle in Kingdom Hearts 2
Mhm.
being his world. So that's why it's just Destiny Island, Twilight Town, fucking Hollow Bastion, End of the World. Those are the four levels that are
and
story.
that was one of the things that I was hoping for in part 4. I mean, obviously that was just wishful thinking. God knows that it wasn't going to happen that way. But I was hoping in part 4 they were going to stray away from the Disney stuff, and I mentioned that in our Instagram chat. Well, when Danny introduced the trailer in the first place, I was like, fuck. Donald and Goofy are still in this fucking game, like that. So that means obviously they're still going to introduce Disney characters and stuff. And I'm like, I'm so sick of this Disney stuff now. I really want Square Enix to get more creative and not be so limited to forcing these Disney stuff into the game. Just because they're working with Disney right now. Go ahead, Kevin.
But the reason I feel like they can't really stray away from Disney is because they need a filler. You know what I mean? Like Disney is just the lettuce, tomatoes, and the bell pepper. That's all it is.
I'm sure
No,
Square
no,
Enix.
he's right. No, he's right.
Square
He's right.
Enix
That's the thing.
Square Enix is creative enough to make their own story without using Disney characters. But I will admit though, the reason why they're also still using Sora is because Square Enix does not own Sora. Disney does.
Yes.
So if they're using Disney, they're using Sora, and vice versa.
But
See, but here's the thing. Go for it.
So the meat and potato, I mean the meat, because meat and the filling for the sandwich is the story of Sora and how he eventually is going to defeat darkness.
The darkness.
Is what which is something we all care about. The Disney stuff is just like in Bleach. You know how Bleach has maybe 5-6 arcs that are just filler, like 500 episodes, and then the important story is the and I'm sorry, and I know I'm trying to it's the beginning arc, the Soul Society, the 1,000 Year
Hueco Mundo.
Hueco Mundo, and then the Rukia, the rescue arc, the Orihime rescue arc, which is Hueco Mundo, then the final battle, and now we're at the Quincy War, and then now the final battle. So it's like there's fillers because they need to just throw shit. I don't know why it has so many, but it's the important story is what you know. When it's important, like they get informed.
I don't even know. I don't even know the important story either. That's the problem.
And that's the thing with Kingdom Hearts is like what you would know when it's important because you get a cinematic with an organization member or somebody that we don't picture as a Disney character. That's when
that's the issue though. That's not always true with Kingdom Hearts.
It's not.
Because what is it? The spear guy going to Beast Castle in 2, he doesn't fucking matter. Zaldin, he's not conducive to the story at all.
So it's like you have to pick and choose when it's important, but then you're just literally doing what Dan does, and it's like I never know when the fuck the story's important.
Yeah, I don't. That leaves me confused. I'm just like, is this person important or not? Should I be paying attention or not? Like, is this character
the way to tell if it's not a Disney property? That's the important stuff. Kingdom Hearts 2, it was sorry, that one's Twilight Town. Traverse Town is the one in one.
Well,
it's Twilight
the
Town.
thing I would think with a fully grown adult who's into this series, I would think they would know that. Like I would hope that they understand that the Disney stuff is the filler of the games.
No. There are people that know.
Yes,
they think that
I'm sure
Zaldin came and stole the rose. And
yeah, I'm sure there's some. Well, I mean, again, and now that I'm looking back on it though, like I probably. All right, so all the Disney worlds that you visit and stuff like that, I know they're all fillers. I get that. What I'm trying to understand is more because again, I mentioned before is there's way too many names. I'm not talking about Disney names. I'm talking about the names of like Organization 13.
Yeah.
They're nobodies in their Heartless. Sora's team, the team of light, pretty much in a sense. who Xehanort was, as a person, who
Mhm.
Aquas Ventus and what's his name was as a person growing up, and how they
Arrow.
ended up the way they were. Like those were the important people. I get that stuff, but there's still a lot of people out there who's just like, yeah, I still don't understand what that is. Fucking Maleficent. Maleficent is actually a little bit part of the story because she's
Oh,
been
no,
searching. Although she's not in the story, like influencing certain events in the story, she's been searching for something that's still been unanswered in the
the box.
series, the box, exactly.
What's in the
So
box?
that's another thing right now. That was a question that happened in my head when I had beat Kingdom Hearts 3, was like, what the fuck happened to this whole box thing? Like, I thought we were supposed to have closure with everything. So now when Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer comes out, I'm just like, okay, so they're doing the master arc, the Lost Master arc. They still haven't mentioned a thing about the box, so I'm sure they're going to introduce that. So can you imagine any new people joining into this franchise and be like, "What? Who the fuck is the Master of Masters? What is this
Wait
box
until
that
you
they're
find out about the
searching?
books.
What is this box that they're searching? What are these books you're talking about? Like, I don't even know what you're talking about right now. Like, what? There's
I know.
books now too?
The books were in so the Master of Masters gave his disciples different books that were supposed to be prophecies, right? They were identical except for the last portion, and no one knows.
So this
whose book is the
motherfucker's
real
writing
one.
the Bible.
Yeah, he got the Old Testament, the New Testament, the New King, the fucking.
Whoa.
That's that. But you see, okay, here's the thing. I could tell you the biggest flaw with Kingdom Hearts is the fact that it does the Disney things. It doesn't necessarily require that, with the exception of Donald and Goofy. If Square Enix wanted to, they could make a game solely out of this whole light and darkness fucking fight,
Mm-hmm.
and that'd be totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
Because
That's what
if
I was hoping
anything,
for.
like, yeah. Because if anything, like, what is it? Fucking like a 40-hour game for 1 and 2, but out of those 40 hours, about like 8 of them, maybe at most, probably like fucking 6, are actual like fucking story. So if you go out throughout the games and like just focus solely on that, you could have yourself like a fucking probably like a 40+ game, like a standard fucking release with just this fucking big battle happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could include the war, you could include Xehanort's like Dark Road, haha. You could include the fucking all the trios and their stories as they go along, and it wouldn't be bad. But that's kind of what Melody of Memories is, because it is again recapping everything. And
But
again, it does a fucking amazing job.
I've played Melody of Memories too, and I still don't understand anything that was going on. And I just played through the game just because I wanted to say that I played through the game. Like, I still couldn't understand anything that was going on. And I just wanted to, because it was such an old game back then. So I had this fucking young mind, and I was just like, oh yeah, I played another Kingdom Hearts game. I know more than you, which I didn't know shit still,
Oh
regardless.
no, Melody the music game, not Chain of Memories.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
No.
so did you play Melody?
I'm not finished with it.
You know,
but
so you are playing it though.
Yeah, I can genuinely state that what they do with the recap of the story is fucking amazing,
Ah.
because it's Kyrie narrating what happens, but it's
Uh-huh.
not like, oh hey, fucking, so like Sora met up with Aladdin and they were no. She goes,
Just
"All
the
right, so
unimportant
this is
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
she
she
skips
goes,
that.
this is what happens in the island. This is what happens when he goes into fucking Traverse Town, right? He does have his little fucking stuff going on in other worlds and whatnot, but we don't care about that. So this is what goes on, because he found me in Hollow Bastion and such and so on and so forth. She literally gives you the fucking meat and
See,
potatoes, like the
so
solid story about it
for me, that
with
interests
the
me.
soundtrack.
I see now that it interests me because I'm not interested in playing a rhythm game like that. But
Just
because
watch
it,
the
be,
cutscenes. In all
well,
honesty,
yes,
cutscenes.
maybe I will do that. That very much interests me. And still, because again, like whenever we get into these type of debates, I always try to look at. I always like to play devil's advocate, and I also like to look at other people's perspectives. So what it is that also, like, you got to understand, there's a lot of people out there that don't want to play all these other old games. They just want to jump into 4 and hope for this new story, or like a fresh new start to the series and stuff like that. And that's what I was expecting too.
A
So
whole new world.
so a whole new world. So I am interested in looking it up, at least for my interest and stuff, but it
Mhm.
still bothers me. It really still bothers me that, like, they released this trailer and I was really hoping for like something new, and it's still it's still the same. It's still the
Bro,
same. It's still technically the same story.
bro. But
I
can we
mean,
talk?
personally,
I know we're
I don't
going in
mind that.
circles. I know we're going in
Yeah.
circles on it, but like, it's just
Can,
it
can
still.
we break the little rut, and can I mention something that I'm
Yeah.
super interested in?
Uh-huh.
So you notice the health bar, you notice the magic bar,
Yeah.
you notice the thing above his health bar. If they bring back drives, I'm gonna fucking
Oh,
pee
yeah,
myself
yeah. Yeah.
because they had shot lock in 3, and that was a bar above his health. The
Yeah.
bar in the position where it is now, that's where the drives were.
Yeah.
Granted, that's also the position where the shot lock was for Birth by Sleep, but I don't think that they would bring that visually back unless it's drive, because Sora has its own layout.
I feel like they're gonna combine a little bit of the elements of all of them to kind of
That
like do
chain,
that.
that fucking keychain chain shit that he used and turned into a giant drill. Holy
Mhm.
shit! Like when he grabbed onto shit, the
Mhm.
fact that it wasn't a shot lock teleportation, because that was really janky and floaty in 3. Like when you tried to aim it, it always kind of like floated to where you wanted it to be, as opposed to actually aiming. So if it's more like integrated into your actual movements, instead of you having to like attack, take a break, aim, dash, and then keep on going with combat. Now it's just, okay, I'm gonna attack, I'm gonna fucking like grab onto shit, I'm gonna start dashing everywhere. It gives you more mobility, like for
Mhm.
an actual fucking combat game. Like Kingdom Hearts 2 had a lot of
So
mobility,
that was the
and that
criticism
was
in part 3 a lot, right? Wasn't it?
it. Fucking sucked. I
Yeah.
hated it because you had infinite aerial combat. Remember, Kevin, you were with me when I was fighting
Yo,
the Titans in
yo,
Olympus.
I
I
told
was livid.
Randy was like he was struggling, and then I gave him the best advice.
Oh
I
no,
was
no,
like,
no! I
attack,
was, because I
shoot,
locked on. I mashed X, and then Sora starts fucking flying. He just
and I
starts
told,
fucking lifting himself with his Keyblade, and I'm like, what is this?
and I was
There
like,
was no infinite air in 2. There was no infinite air in
Do you
any
think it
fucking
was
game.
more obviously, you know, you as a fan you disagree with it, but or you wouldn't want to implement it, but do you think that they added that in because of like accessibility stuff, like just to make it easier for new players?
Catering?
Yeah,
Oh
just
yeah, no, of course,
catering for
of
people.
course. No,
Yeah.
because the issue with okay, so every game had its difficulty curve that kept on
Mhm.
like progressing to when as the player progressed. 3 had no curve. 3 was just a plateau from from when you hit go and go on. That's it. Fucking the secret boss with the 2 swords in World's End, that was supposed to be super fucking difficult. You could brute force it. The organization fights in Remind, they're fun, but you could brute force them. You could literally just fucking equip Ultimate Weapon, mash X, just keep fucking running through, and then maybe do like a form change here and there and whatever. But regardless, it's still fucking easy. It took me a collective
Mhm.
45 minutes to do all 13 fights.
Mm.
How is that any good?
It was an easy
Fucking
game.
it took
yeah,
me a solid week and a half to do the base organization 13 fights in fucking 2. The memories
Yeah.
to fight them, that shit was difficult as shit. Then you have the entire room. I was like, what the hell is this? I fight them and I'm racking my fucking brain. Level 99, still fucking trying to like fight Marluxia, and I was having fucking trouble with that. It was more mechanically inclined, and now it was like so fucking handholdy. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping that 4 goes back to more
yeah,
skill, like utilizing your forms. If you didn't have like Donald, you couldn't go into Wisdom. If you didn't have Goofy, you couldn't go into Valor. If you were missing one of them, there was no Master in fucking Final Mix. If you lacked either, you only had Limit. You couldn't go into Final.
Kevin,
It all made sense.
Kevin, you have anything to say? I know me and Randy have been back and forth.
no, 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 no. I wasn't looking advocate. Look, Jesus Christ, I wasn't like detailing everything that happened in the trailer because I just saw the counter and everything, and I was like, the cinematic counter. Sorry, I saw the cinematic counter, and I was a little bit confused about it. And I got
Hi.
I waved like I had a camera.
You wave too.
Yeah. I saw it and I was like, oh, hey. I'm like, oh, hold on. I'm like, it's just a sad cat.
It's funny. We had Kevin's girl in the camera there for a bit.
my best friend, homie.
Is it? Is it really?
Yeah. But yeah, no,
I don't know what your girl looks like, so I assume that was your girl.
This girl looks like me.
Ah,
I
yeah.
There you go.
definitely agree with Randy. 3 was very, it was way too long. Like once, and I found that out in the first 45 minutes of me playing the game that you have infinite air combat.
Hmm.
I didn't like
Hmm.
that. Then I made the joke of the sword not looking moist. This man looked like he was dehydrated, like he was drenched in water for hours, and he never dried up. And I hated the way
Moist.
it looked. I hated the gummy ship. I enjoyed the gummy ship aspect, but I hated the
I
gummy
hated the
ship.
gummy ship in every game.
No. I love the gummy ship because I've never spent so much time mining, and I was like that. I enjoyed it. Four, I hope it goes back to the original combat. Two was at peak its best. What the heck is this?
Oh,
Randy sending messages.
send a meme.
Oh,
You've been
um,
sleeping for 7 days rent free. Hand over the
and
money.
So
yeah, let's hope that it goes back to. Oh no, bro.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
well, I agree with you guys. I hope it goes to a more better difficulty, and if anything, you could just adjust it, for the people who want to make it easier for whatever reason, because I'm always an
Give us
advocate for that. If you want to make it
adjusted mid
accessible,
game.
if you want to, yeah, I mean, if you want to make it accessible for people, then make it accessible as an option. Not don't penalize everybody for it. So if you want to play it the real way that people should play it, like Kingdom Hearts 2, then maybe that should be like the normal baseline, and then put on easy mode or whatever. But
or make it like a fucking a thing in the beginning. Like, yo, do you want to play it like the original? Like, give it different play styles, so you're not playing
mhm,
Hearts 4 and then like spending 40 hours and like I'm disappointed.
mhm,
Give us variety. If this is the fourth iteration of this game, give us variety. Give us the ability to play as two, as one if you want. If you want to be like a masochist
yeah.
and play like one with arrow, which I don't know what the fuck it does still, and
Oh,
trigger.
arrow's so good.
It
I
is.
Damage
I don't
mitigation and damage reflection. Hell yeah.
I don't want people to think that like I'm contradicting what I'm saying, because basically like the gist of what I'm saying is that like I'm gonna play this game regardless, and that's because I still enjoy the Kingdom Hearts gameplay, so still have fun with it, so I play with it, but I still have a lot to complain about when it comes to the story, so I'm still gonna play Kingdom Hearts 4 regardless. But I feel like if I play Kingdom Hearts 4, I'm probably not going to enjoy it. I'm probably going to have a hard time with it. And I'm not really looking forward to it. I'm really not. Like, I honestly, like, it's almost like one of those reluctant
Sorry.
purchases. It's those reluctant purchases. It's just like, oh fuck, I'm gonna spend $60 on this game, but I played the other.
I'm buying that fucking
But
300
well,
kilometers one.
obviously you are. That's not a
Oh, yeah.
question at all. Like we don't even need a
I'm getting the
discussion for
game,
that.
the pin, the soundtrack, the keyblade that comes with
But
the
like,
statue.
but like, just
tag.
imagine. But here's the thing, though. Like, if I'm feeling that way, and I've played every single Kingdom Hearts game and still don't understand it, like, can you imagine some of the new people who's never played a Kingdom Hearts game and kind of feel like, I don't know if I should still jump into this. Like, maybe this is more just for the fans, and that's it. So, like, do you really expect the sales to be that crazy? And like bringing in new
Yeah.
people,
I don't know
like
about
new
but
people,
it's gonna bring
old
in
people, sure.
viewers for sure.
Yeah.
No, you'd be surprised. There's some people that like they like the game, but they refuse to like step out their bubble.
Uh-huh.
Like I love 2, but I'll play every single game except 3, to be quite honest.
Yeah, well,
Um,
but the thing is that you had already invested time. You were already a fan, so you would play 3 and not enjoy it, but you would still purchase 3. Like even
To be
I
honest,
bet
prior
I
to quarantine, I just did 1 and 2 and like a little bit of chain.
but
I was introduced to the rest of the story like afterwards, but because I was intrigued with how like open it was. I'm like, oh shit, this is really cool. Because I was very iffy about Birth by Sleep, even as a kid. Like I was like, this
uh-huh.
isn't Sora, what the fuck? But
Uh-huh.
then when I realized that it wasn't just like, hey, we're putting new characters for the sake of new characters, like we're putting it to so you could hurt because the story is fucking painful. I'm like, oh, this is good. I mean, this is fucking amazing. And even then, every single game, the beauty about them is that they're all mechanically different. So 1 is a baseline,
Mhm.
2 is absolute
That's
best.
why I play the
But
games.
but Birth and like 358, and even fucking 3D Dream Drop, those are incredible because you have your basis of your fucking combat where it's still, hit X, whatever, like attack, attack, attack. But then you also have your slots for your, like, you could rotate what spells or skills to use. Birth by Sleep had shot lock, but it did it properly. It wasn't floaty. It was amazing. That was introduction to it. They wanted to try to implement that into 3. It failed. Dream Drop had flow motion, like when you could jump off the walls and run up walls and shit. 3 did it terribly, but Dream Drop did it fucking incredibly, because there it was very solid. You didn't have like, when you wanted to make a right, your character went right. He sort of didn't kind of like float off and go, oh, whatever. No, like every single, you felt the weight of the characters, and that's what one of the biggest issues of 3 was too. It was a very very floaty game. Too many mechanics, not done properly, and they got rid of drives with the
Yeah.
fucking bootleg wisdom form. Fuck
Yeah.
that.
But here's the thing though, because you
Wait, hold
you've
on, Kevin
played
was
the
gonna say
you.
something.
Go ahead, Kevin.
No, I was gonna say in ranking, Kingdom Hearts 2 had the best combat.
Yes.
Dream Drop had the best motion. Like movement in Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop was by far the best. And I would say mechanically, like besides basic combat, Dream Drop had the best magic system because it was fucking almost broken. It was almost
Mm-mm.
it was
Birth had the
almost
most broken one.
yeah, Birth.
Fucking Fission Faraga. That
Yeah,
one was
yeah.
hilarious.
Birth
Someone
had
made a cheese. So Fission Faraga, you get like these little fire orbs around you, and when you move, that's when it does damage, right? So what you do to cheese bosses and one shot them is that you use Fission Faraga and you start mashing the fucking stick like forward, like like when you would like burn your palm trying to spin it
Mhm.
in any game or whatever the case. You just take
Yeah.
it, you just keep dashing forward. That's all you do, and you just fucking OTK the boss
Hey,
because it's
you
for
know,
every like movement startup. It's hilarious.
so I was curious real quick. I still want to continue this discussion, like just off the podcast here. Are you guys okay with still staying on streaming right now while we still discuss this stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna end the podcast right now. We're gonna end it right now because we're going on 2 hours. Right now, if you guys ever want to join the chat or anything like that, just let us know. On the chat itself, and ask any questions or whatever. Don't forget to follow. Check out gamerguardians.net for the links to the rest of the podcast shows, the episodes, and stuff like that, as along with our social media. Boneless Bones, you do streaming as well. Have you been?
Yeah. No, I'm gonna stream tomorrow. Actually, yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna do my first stream after being gone for so long. I'm also gonna record a video that I had in mind, and I was gonna post it and edit it by tomorrow. Doing
Mm.
that tomorrow, and I'm gonna be streaming Elden Ring. Gonna do my second playthrough, and I'll see you guys there tomorrow. I also brought my fight stick, so I'm gonna be playing some fighters.
All right. So
Good shot.
I'm just gonna put the end show marker on here, but I'm still gonna continue streaming right here. So so thank you guys for joining us, and bye. We'll see you in the next episode next week. Laters.